All right, so we have an arrangement that we've set up here on the Octatrack, and that's all nice. What I'd like to do is slightly change our focus, and I want to talk about the ability to resample audio from any of the other tracks that are on the Octatrack. This can be very helpful if you want to free up some of the audio tracks. You can essentially kind of bounce stuff down, but I want to approach this a little bit differently. Now, when I went into the settings earlier, there's a bunch of stuff that I didn't actually talk about or mention. And one of those things is the ability to use the 8th track as a master track. Right now, we're using every single track on the audio side to play different sounds. There's actually one track, I think there's 2 tracks that we're not using. Track 5 and track 6 are currently empty. But the point is that every one of these is set up to be able to play back audio. Now, I can go into my preferences and change it so that track 8 is a master track. And the output of all 7 tracks is going to go through track 8. And then we can resample the output of track 8. So we essentially record a mix down of our arrangement. Now, before I do this, I need to go into my project menu. So I'm going to hold function and press project. And here we are going to go to the control area and where it says audio. If I hit yes here, it says track 8, and track 8 right now is functioning as a normal track, but I can change it so that it functions as the master track. Now, before I do that, track 8 currently has the drums that I sequence with my static machine. So I need to make sure that I don't lose this track. So I can copy this track and paste it someplace else. It'll copy and paste the trigs, as well as the effects, any sort of P-locks that are going on here. So if I want to copy a track, I have to make sure that I'm in the grid record mode. So the record button is enabled. And now if I hold function and press copy, it copies the track. So like I said, tracks 5 and 6 are empty. So let's go ahead and paste this to track 6. I select track 6, hold function, paste. So now it's pasted all the trigs from that track there, and we're good to go. Last thing I'll do, I'm going to go to track 8, and I'm going to clear this track. So again, make sure my record grid mode is on. Got to be careful because if I hold function and press clear when this is off, it clears the entire pattern. So here we go. Record grid mode is on, function, clear, clears the track trigs. The other thing I want to do is I made sure that I added some different effects to effect slots 1 and 2 here. I don't need those effects if this is going to be my master track. You can clear any of the settings on these different parameter pages by holding that page and then pressing clear. So that resets those to their default setting. All right. So now if I play this, the arrangement, the drums are not muted in the first couple arrangements because we didn't mute any settings for track 6. I can change that in the arrangement later, but we know how to do that now. So I'm not going to focus on that too much. Instead, let me go back to the project menu, control, audio. I hit yes, and I'm going to change it so that track 8 is going to be a master track. Just like that. So now if I back out of here, if I play this, if I adjust the volume for track 8, that affects the volume of everything. If I was to add distortion to track 8, it's going to add distortion to everything. Now what's cool about this is that we have a compressor in my second effect slot, so I could utilize this to compress the entire mix if I want to. And in fact, let me go in here and change this to the root mean square mode, so we'll get more of an average instead of peak detection. All right, we'll just go with something like that for right now. Okay, so again, my objective is to resample everything. I want to record this entire arrangement as a sample. Now, just to reiterate, when we were in the project menu before, we changed the memory here so that we were using the dynamic recorders. This means that the amount of RAM that's allocated to our flex machines is variable, and we can use more than just the 16 seconds or whatever this reserve length is set to. Now, my arrangement is not necessarily that long. It's not a full-on song, but it's longer than just a 16-step loop. But we can record that entire thing and have that saved on our CF card. And then whenever we do get near a computer, we can just transfer the audio file from our Octatrack to whatever computer or device that we want to. So let's go ahead and set this up. What I need to do is go into my record setup page. So I'm going to hold function, record. Now we know we can record from inputs A and B. That's not what I want to do, so I'll deactivate that. I could record from input C and D, but again, that's not what I'm trying to do. If I want to resample, what I need to do is go to source 3. But I'm on the master track right now. I'm not going to record onto the master track. I need to record onto track 5. That's the one that's available to me. That one's still blank. But track 5 is a static machine. So I need to change this from a static machine to a flex machine and make sure that I'm recording into the, let's go up, here we go. Make sure that I'm recording into the track recorder that would be associated with that track. There we go. All right, so now I'm prepared to start recording. Let me go here, disable input A and B, disable input C and D. My record length is set to the maximum. And if I want this to start as soon as the arrangement starts, we know how to use a record trig. I can just place a trig right here. And the source, what track do I want to resample from? I want to resample from track 8, the master track. So I'm going to put a trig right here, and I'll press play. It'll start recording. I'm just going to let it record the entire arrangement. Now I believe I could manually mute that in real time. So it's capturing all that. And if we look down here, we can see the amount of time that we've recorded and the amount of time we have left. We have quite a lot of time left to record. All right, and we're done, and I will stop the recording. Get out of the grid record mode. So we recorded this to track 5. Let's see what we've got. I'm gonna hold track 5, edit, and there's our compressed beat. If I want to hear this from here, I can just hold function and press yes. And there it is. Now, I definitely want to make sure that I save this. So I'm going to go to my file menu here. And I don't really need to assign this to a sample slot because I don't really intend to play this back here. Well, maybe I will. Who knows? So I will go ahead and assign it. I'm going to save and assign this. So I'm going to hit yes and clear the name. And we're going to call this Tut Bounce. And that should make it descriptive enough. And where's my N over here? And C and E. Tut Bounce. Boom. It's going to take a while because it's a bigger sample. Now, in this case, I don't want to assign this to a flex machine because it took a decent amount of RAM in order to record that, and I don't want to load it into a flex machine and take all that RAM back. I'm going to load this from a static machine. So then that way, I don't have to use the RAM in the Octatrack to play it. And now we see it's assigned to static slot 1. Let me get out of here. I will double tap on track 5. I'm going to go ahead and clear the track recorder so I can free up all the RAM that's left. So function clear, yes. And I can just do that with all of these. I haven't cleared any of these yet. Go ahead and get my RAM back. And all right, we should be good. Okay, and then I want to change this from a flex machine to a static machine so I can access audio that's on my CF card. And in my first static machine slot, there's my Tut Bounce song. Has the appropriate tempo, and there it is. So at this point now, if I wanted to, let me go ahead and go to a blank pattern. I'm going to get out of my arranger mode. So function, hit that. Now I'm out of the arranger mode. I'm going to hold pattern, and we did copy and paste this to pattern 2. Let's go to pattern 2. I'm going to clear this entire pattern. So I'm going to hold function. I'm not in the grid record mode, so if I press clear, the whole pattern gets cleared. And by the way, if you do that by accident, if you just hold function and press clear again, you can undo what you just did. It's always helpful to have some undo function there. But anyway, the point is that this song now is assigned to the first static slot. If I look, I'm in the slot mode. Here's the first static slot. And now this is playing from a static machine. So all the parameters that would affect my other sounds will affect this as well. Time stretch is on. Rate is affecting the pitch. Oh, we just stopped the record. Time stretch is on, so I can transpose this and we don't throw the tempo off. If I want to reverse this, I can just change the rate to a negative value. So there you go.